Hi everyone, and welcome to our first talk of a series of talk about data and machine learning. Today we are going to highlight a very fundamental concept in machine learning, which is called induction. So let's have a start. Machine learning is basically experiences and observation based. And from these experiences and observation, we are motivated to make prediction further. The process conducted to make those predictions is basically called induction. But as induction is basically a process which is highly effective with the way we observe things, we measure things, our senses, our backgrounds, this is very affected with bias. So the models we're going to generate further that will generalize our prediction and formalize those prediction will also be bias affected. That's why we check performances. And by checking the performances, we make sure that the model that we are going to work on or we're going to present will be the model that fits the best modelization and problem solving we are making. So, cognitive learning was really the start of machine learning and have a lot of in common with machine learning. The process is quite simple. We start with perceiving, and perceiving is a process that is really high affected with our senses and the way we are observing things around. And then we start to make some basic conclusions about what we say, and those conclusions are different from a person to another, and that's what we call bias. Then we start to generalize what our conclusions, and by generalizing our conclusions, we are making inference. And by inference, we are trying to learn, and by learning, we are just trying to take our conclusions from a context to another context, so making it context independent, and capitalize all these conclusions in a learning. So, as inducing and perceiving, which is the first step of all this cognitive process, is bias affected, the inference and the learning is different, quite different from a person to another, and which is also bias affected too. Let's have an example. We have in these images a lot of lines, and we can start questioning ourselves if we are observing parallel lines or cross lines. And we end up maybe saying, there are not really parallel lines, but the truth is all the lines in the picture are parallel. And this is just an optical illusion. So, as cognitive learning was the start, machine learning is very and highly inspired by the cognitive learning. We do have observations, and those observations generate a lot of meters, a lot of images, a lot of data, and those data will conduct us to make a first layer of patterns that are basically symbols based, and then we are trying to generalize all those patterns and making what we call the rules, and those rules are capitalized in models. So whatever the next input you will be proposing to your model should be able to tell you a good prediction to this new input. So this is the process of induction, which is highly conducting the logic of machine learning. That was our quick talk about today, presenting as well induction, what coming next. So as we are talking about learning, let's have a focus on different learning in machine learning. And we've been a lot hearing about what is descriptive learning, predictive learning, and perspective learning. So if you're interested in knowing more about this, stay tuned for the next video. Bye!